Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Hey Go, Have a Good One. I don't know whether to use the acronym or the full name at this point, so I'm just going to use both at the same time. But anyway, here I am with another guest. This time it is a good friend of mine, Matt.
Thanks for having me, Sam. Big Hago fan. I've always called it Hago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I love what you do at Hago.
Yeah, thank you. Matt and I have known each other for quite a long time.
Yeah, ages.
Yeah, like, actually, how many years would it have been at this point?
Oh, I mean, shoot, just since we started high school, I suppose. And came up through drama classes together, did a lot of wrote a lot of things together, performed fun sketches and stuff.
Yeah, good times.
And uni, of course, did a semester at uni. In the
Yeah.
same course.
Yeah, you were the one who actually introduced me to the whole thing. I was like,
Yes,
Think
and then
you-
I very quickly very quickly fell off, and you history will show that you are killing it in the game, but wasn't for me.
That's fair. But in regards to all of the talk about acting and all of that kind of stuff, we have this episode is going to be dedicated to talking about the 1973 movie called The Wicker Man, by Matt's request, actually. And actually, I'd been wondering, like, ever since you had suggested it, what made you want to talk about this movie?
Yeah, it's a weird movie. It's one of my favorite movies, definitely my favorite English film.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's so fun, while it also has some points to make about philosophical concepts of ethics and comparative ethical studies.
Okay.
Yeah, cultural relativism being one of them. But also, a big reason I picked it is because I suspected you'd like it. Even though you can't be too sure with this movie because it's so niche and strange, there's always a chance someone will just hate this film. But I thought you would like it, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly didn't hate it. I would say that I quite liked it. Probably.
Oh yeah.
I was just gonna say, probably wouldn't rank it as like one of my favorites of all time, but still, I liked it. Like,
That's fair.
yeah.
I suspected you'd like it because it is a secret musical.
It actually, yeah.
This is a horror movie that is different from most because it's all set in the daytime. If you're into your horror movies, Midsummer is a film that came out just 2 years ago that takes a lot from this movie.
Yeah, I
this
saw
is
a lot of comparisons between the two being made.
Totally. Yeah, they're cult horror or folk horror movies. And it's a musical. Yeah, people break into song in this movie. And the music is beautiful 70s folk.
Yeah. A lot of that kind of vibe going around. Like, I remember actually I was thinking it's funny that you mentioned that, because it was like you know that bit where it's like the guy first Sergeant Howie first goes into that bar and everyone starts singing, and it's like he's just kind of standing there awkwardly, just like, what's going on here? It was like, first thing that I thought when I saw that was like, this is basically what would happen if like a normal person got like sucked into like a musical world, and he's just like, what on earth is going on around here?
Totally. Yeah, Howie is not enjoying the merm.
Nah, not in the slightest.
The musically enhanced reality mode.
Yeah, nah.
But that, I think that's what I love most about this movie. I guess I should say it's a movie about a religious police officer who goes to this island that they're kind of pagans, and they believe in the old gods, and he's trying to find a missing girl, and he comes to suspect that the girl might have gone missing in some ancient ritual of sacrifice or something like that. But I think what makes this movie so different is how, even though you're seeing this culture that is so different to what you expect England to be, I think you learn a lot about Howie's religion and Christianity, and I think that's what this movie is kind of about, is about kind of cultural relativism, the idea that you can't just think that everything that your people do is correct and then what someone else does is wrong. They have their ways, and we'll probably get more into it as we kind of go through it.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I will say the first time I'd actually heard of the Wicker Man was like, I'd first heard about the remake that had Nicolas Cage starring in it.
The highly memed 2006 remake.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Wicker Man was the one where you got Nicolas Cage's "Not the Bees" meme from.
I've never seen that movie because I'm such a devotee to this one that it just feels like it would be sacrilege to go back and watch that. But the funny thing about that movie that I've heard is that the "Not Bees" scene is not in the movie. It's cut.
Yeah, it's only in like the unrated version or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not even in the official movie.
You've got to watch this movie, and then when you start to see bees, and apparently the whole thing is about bees, so it's hard to know when. You've got to pause the movie, go to YouTube, look up, whatever the compilation is, Nick Cage loses his mind for 7 minutes, watch the full thing, and then go back to the movie.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about this movie is it's the same. It was cut up when it was released. The studio, I think, went broke and was bought out by a bigger studio, and they didn't have faith in it. They've cut it, and basically the entire 50-year history since it's come out has been trying to trace down all of these different versions to try and piece together one coherent version. And the final cut, which I told you to watch, I think is the director's favorite cut. He's happy with it now, but yeah, it took them like 40 years to get to that point.
Oh, okay. Dang. Okay, I didn't know about that. I knew that as far as like the money that it made, it came up at a loss as far as money went.
I remember there was something like they brought it out and it wasn't successful, but then when they took it to America, even with very conservative states in the South and stuff, it had its fans. People liked it in America. Which is very interesting. But I guess if you're watching this, you're seeing Howie, this Christian, kind of become a martyr against these people. So I can see why people would like it, but like I say, I think it's equally critical of any religion.
Well, I mean, it is still like inherently like a rather adversarial thing, because it's still two different religious beliefs kind of almost like competing against each other, sort of. And at the basis, I think and this is the thing as well about this movie, there's lots of lines in it, and probably because there's still bits missing from it, that there's lines that if you miss, it changes your entire reading of the film. So there's lots of reasons to rewatch it, but one in particular is that, and this is an extended scene. I think you get this sense in the final cut. But Christopher Lee's character, Lord Summerisle, the Lord of the Island, Mm.
admits that he's not a believer. His grandfather came to the island because of its ability to grow different fruits on Summer Isle, and his grandfather used that to his advantage, and he reinstated this reverence for the old gods to kind of make this an agricultural society, and essentially that was a way of getting people enthusiastic about harvesting, so he could grow all of these expensive and rare fruits. So you get this sense that whether it be Christianity or this pagan religion or any other, at the very basis, you have a landowning class that is exploiting that religion for their own personal gain. I think and that's why it kind of feels equally critical of religion as a whole in this movie.
I see. Okay, well, I don't know, maybe we'll just go through through the story, through like the main plot points and all that. Like we have kind of done a bit of a brief summary of it all. But yeah, it's like it all begins with a police sergeant named Howie going to the island Summer Isle, which is like somewhere like off the coast of Scotland, I believe. And he's investigating the disappearance of a young girl that he apparently was it like said to him that she was last seen there or like taken there? I forget which it was.
He has a letter. It was supposedly from the island, but I don't think it's from someone specifically.
Well, I mean, I think it may have been. Okay, so I'm starting to question whether I saw like the director's cut version, but the version that I saw was like he first goes and like speaks to a few locals asking about this girl that's gone missing, and he mentions it being a certain woman's daughter on the island, and it's like at first like the residents are like very like confused about it all, but then it's like I think it's like he mentions the girl's name and then they're like, oh no wait, he mentions the woman's name and then he's like, oh yeah, they're like, oh yes of course, she's just over there. And then it's like as he's leaving they're just like, but wait, she's not her daughter. And then Howie's like, huh? And then continues on.
Yeah, he struggles to get any information from the locals. They stonewall him at every
yeah.
Every and they're all just like so smug.
Right.
They're like, you won't find her there. It's like, geez, this is a tough day at the office.
Yeah, no, it's all.
Yeah. I think the first scene actually is not him going to the island. I think it's actually him at the church, and I think he's leading in prayer, and he takes the sacrament.
Yes, that is actually the first scene I saw as well.
Yeah, that's the ritual where drink the blood of Christ and eat the body of Christ, and I think that's important as well because it sets up that he's a religious man, but also that he's not. He's not. When he's offended by what he sees on the island, he's not necessarily acting out of any greater rationality than them. He's not saying, what are you talking about? Magic doesn't exist. Why do you? He believes in magic. He believes in this ritual where you drink Jesus's blood, But it's just that he is so hard fast in his Christian beliefs that what he sees on the island is, it breaks his mind.
Yeah, it really does.
But yeah, so he goes to find the daughter. He goes to the post office where they've told him this is his mother's. This is Rowan Morrison's mother, Mae Morrison, and he gets in there, and the daughter's there. She's just in the back drawing a rabbit in the back of the post office.
Yeah, and it's like they have a bit of a conversation. And it's like, this is weird. Yeah. Uh, what
And
happened next?
they're obsessed with hairs. That's the thing about this
Yes.
island. They love hairs.
Yeah, it's
They're
like the girl is like drawing a hair and has like named it and all of that.
yes, she says that she knows Rowan, but when he inquires further, he realizes that Rowan is a hare. This kid's
Yeah.
talking about a rabbit. But
Yeah. Yeah, no. And then is it then that he goes to like the tavern or bar or wherever?
yeah, he goes to the Green Man Tavern, which if I could have any prop in any movie, it's the sign for the Green Man Tavern. Probably doesn't exist anymore.
I mean, who knows? Maybe someone did keep it as like a memento or something like that.
Yeah, maybe Christopher Lee's estate has it.
Maybe. But yeah, no. So then Howie gets there, and that's where like everyone in the tavern starts like breaking out in song, and he's just standing there, just like, I am not happy with what's going on here. What's going on here?
Yeah, because they're singing a song called "The Landlord's Daughter," and all of these songs, by the way, are on an album. It's on Spotify and stuff. I tend to boost the Wicker Man when I'm in the car sometimes, because this is not the first song. The first song is Corn Rigs and Barley Rigs, or I don't know, they're not named, but it's a beautiful song. I think it might be my favorite as he's flying to the island. But this one is the first. Help me out here, Sam.
It's like it's the first
non-diegetic or first diegetic.
I was hoping you would know that. It's the first one where it's like the characters in the story are singing the song. It's not just like an outside voice. Hold on.
It's amazing how the fact that this is a musical kind of dawns on you over the runtime, because first one is just playing while he's in the plane, and the second one, yes, everyone's breaking into song, but it's a pub. These things.
Yeah, it's
sometimes
like
happen in pubs, I guess.
It makes sense. Yeah.
It just feels like kind of merriment, I guess, but it just keeps happening, and you're like, hang on, this has been like 10 tracks so far.
Yeah. Okay. So it's the first diegetic song. So apparently, non-diegetic is any sound that does not originate from within the film's world. Diegetic is a sound that does originate from the film's world.
Right.
So yeah. And it's like the song that they're singing is all about. It's like. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's basically like a folk version of Promiscuous Girl, right? As far as like what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if Promiscuous Girl is about the titular Promiscuous Girl being the human embodiment of Aphrodite, at least in the eyes of the town, and the purpose of this song is to establish that the landlord's daughter, played by Britt Eccleston, is her job within the town is essentially to sleep with everybody. So everyone slept with the landlord's daughter, and the landlord is there, and so is she, and they're loving this song.
Yeah.
It establishes the relationship that Summer Isle has to sexuality, which is very, very fluid, and also sexuality is a part of their pagan beliefs, which upsets Officer Howie to no end.
Because it's like, obviously he's all about chastity and all that. It's established like later on that he's still a virgin.
Yeah, he's a virgin, and that's necessary for what happens to him at the end. I don't know if we spoil the movie. I guess
we might as well spoil it. Yeah, no spoiler, guys. If you don't want spoilers, watch the movie first, I guess.
Yeah. Do you want to say it?
You can say it.
He gets burned up in a big wicker man. So a big statue of a dude made out of straw. He's kind of in the head, and it turns out that this case of the missing girl has just been a ruse to kind of lure a police officer. I guess they didn't know who they were getting, which is a bit of a plot hole, because like, how did they know they were getting a virgin cop? I mean,
Yeah. It seemed as though
But
they
they
were
sent
trying
the
to
letter
get
to him.
like they were trying to get like a devout Christian virgin cop, like by design, it seemed.
Absolutely. But I guess now I'm thinking about it, they probably addressed the letter to him. You know, maybe they'd done their research on who was the chief detective in which jurisdiction. I don't know. But anyway, they needed him to be a virgin, which is important because there's a later scene where Britt Eccleston is singing a beautiful song, Willow's song. It's a very sexual scene. She's naked in the scene, and it's revealed that was giving him an out. That was giving him the ability to not be a sacrifice.
Yeah, it's like if he had taken her up on that offer, he may have been safe from that.
Right. So if he was able to kind of maybe put humanity before his just set beliefs, or at least be able to, if he was able to kind of, if he was able to see their side, see their beliefs as valid, I think he might have been able to survive the situation potentially. But because he is so steadfast in his belief that his values are correct, then he was the perfect victim for the sacrifice.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
It's a bit of an oops moment.
Bit of an oops moment. Yeah. Number one tip when you're traveling is be across the local customs, because if you don't, they might burn you in a big effigy.
Yeah, you gotta, it's good to assimilate yourself with the culture that you're visiting, get in touch with their culture. I say this as though I know, I don't.
No, I mean, we're all stuck in COVID. We can't. Even if we wanted to be burned in a Wicker Man, we can't experience other cultures. But I think as well, I mean, when we talk about cultural relativism, it's not about finding. It's cultural relativism is a theory in ethics. It's not about finding ways that other cultures are in fact correct when bad things are done. It's more about just finding a way that we can account for in ethics other people's beliefs. So, an example might be like our society has a certain way that we treat animals, but if there's another culture that treat certain animals separately, do we just think you're evil for the way you treat, say, a dog? Or do we think, well, we see dogs as pets, but other cultures aren't going to necessarily have that social construct, and so, it's just kind of ethics being fluid over cultures. And I think that's what this movie is about, because I think the fact that they see Howie is so repressed and that he denies his own humanity and his own human sexuality, I think that means that he is, in their eyes, kind of already dead. He's kind of like it's less of a shame that he's getting burnt up, which it doesn't make it right, but I think that the movie gives you clues as to what maybe is their thought process, and maybe in their eyes the fact that they killed him rather than Rowan Morrison, a teenage girl, is they did the right thing.
Maybe
in their eyes.
Yeah, no, totally in their eyes. But yeah, it's like, and then I think it's like, isn't it like while this whole sinning thing is happening, he gets so, like, he eventually just like leaves the place, goes outside, and then like finds this massive yard where like people are just doing it just in the open, and he's just like, back I go.
Yes, he's very upset by this behavior.
Yeah. And then eventually he's just like, "Ah, I've had enough. I'm going to bed." And he goes to bed. And then everyone down there is still singing. It's just like a different song this time.
No, this song is Gently Johnny, which is a song that was completely cut from the theatrical version and wasn't released until we got a hold of Roger Corman's collection. Roger Corman was a director. He directed the original Little Shop of Horrors, a few other things. He launched the careers of Scorsese, Ron Howard, Spielberg made his first movie for Roger Corman. He's kind of a titan in film history.
Sounds like it, yeah.
A notorious cheapskate who was just famous for cutting corners at every point. I mean, if he could make a movie for negative money, he would kind of try to do that. There's a famous case where he was making a movie and Vincent Price, he was working with Vincent Price, famous horror actor. And they made the movie quickly because he was cutting all those corners. They made the movie within like 16 days. And he might have had, 4 or 5 weeks of shooting. So he just made a second movie straight after with the same set. He released 2 movies. He was that kind of guy. So he just held on to everything because he's such a cheapskate. You give him something, he's not giving it back. So he had this full print of the Wicker Man. And it was just like, it was like a Rosetta Stone. We were finally able to get all this stuff back. And this is the only reason that we had this song, Gently Johnny.
Okay.
And this is the scene where we kind of find out that Britt Eccleston is, kind of a deity on the island in the eyes of the people. She's kind of a symbol of fertility.
Okay, so that was actually meant to be real life. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, like the quality of the film, for whatever reason, it just struck me at one point as being like, oh, is he watching TV now? And then I was like, wait, no, that's just the quality of the film in general.
Yeah, well, that makes sense because it was just found from an early print that this guy just kept in his house. So it makes sense that it looks different to the rest of it.
Okay, yeah. Okay, well then in that case, it's like she the daughter, she is kind of heavily revered within that group. And I think, is it at that point that they first mention like the upcoming May Day celebrations?
Yes. And we also meet Christopher Lee playing Lord Summerisle for the first time. Great character.
It's Christopher Lee, so like, of course.
Yeah, just awesome seeing him here. And he kind of explains that come May Day, it's going to be, I think he says, a more serious sacrifice.
Yeah, but Howie is just too annoyed with everything that's been going on to really care about any of that stuff. He's just trying to get to sleep, and he's hearing people just singing like underneath him, and he's like,
Yeah, I think he's praying. He's just like desperately trying to pray over the bed, and I think Christopher Lee says something about, I think he says something that he's fond of animals because they don't feel the need to revere old versions of their kind that died thousands of years ago, and they don't see themselves as better than anyone else, and he has a long monologue about. And so you kind of get this sense that, well, maybe he encourages these religious rituals and beliefs. He's kind of a cynic at heart, Christopher Lee. He's almost got kind of contempt for everyone and religion in particular.
Yeah, but it's like there's never really a point where he seems he never really seems really angry. It's like he always is like very well, not very, but he's always like quite smiley a lot of the
Yeah.
time, and is like quite
Yeah.
friendly with people.
Yes, he's instantly likable.
Yeah, it's like it's nice because yeah, no, the last time I had seen Christopher Lee playing a character was like as Saruman in Lord of the Rings, who is not very friendly at all.
No. Well, that's the thing about Christopher Lee, and I only found this out today, is that he knew J.R.R. Tolkien in his lifetime.
Yeah, right?
And and Tolkien specifically wanted him to play Gandalf as time went on. He became a Saruman, but that's just incredible. Like,
Yeah, right.
yeah,
It's like he was the one guy who actually got to meet Tolkien like in real life. Oh, love
yeah,
Christopher Lee.
yeah, yeah. May you rest. But I think the following scene from this one is this. He goes to the school the next day, I think.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
he goes
is.
to the school. This is a great scene as well. That we see all the boys of the town, the young boys, dancing around the maypole, and we kind of get a sense of their beliefs because there's this song that details their religion, which is very based on reincarnation. They're
Hmm.
kind of saying, you know, from a tree comes, I think it's something like a tree. From the tree comes a bed, and on the bed lies a man, and on the man lies a woman, and then from that becomes a boy who becomes a man who dies, and then from the grave grows a tree, and the whole system starts again. So they kind of believe in this
Yeah. I think
cycle.
it's like it's kind of here that we find out that yeah, they believe in the idea that like when you die, your soul becomes like one with nature or something like that. I think
Yeah,
kind of
and
like a
how
circle of life type of thing. Actually, now that I think about it.
right, it's quite beautiful. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. It could easily, particularly for a movie in the '70s, kind of treat this religion as kind of backwards and contemptuous, but it's quite a beautiful idea, and it's given this great, beautiful folk song to explain it. And Howie, of course, is upset by it, and he's he's doing his classic, "What is all this?" And they're like, "Well, look, the kids, they point out, you believe in resurrection. You believe Jesus rises again, and essentially he will come back again someday." And they kind of say, "Well, look, these kids find it much, much easier to believe in what we're explaining here than what you believe in." So yeah, kind of giving it maybe not legitimacy, but at least giving it some kind of agency, this thought process.
But this is also where we get a bit more of a progression into the mystery, because it's like he goes to into this school where at this point it's like it's only girls in the school because all the boys are outside with the maypole and all that. And he like asks them like, "Oh, have you ever do you know this girl called Rowan Morrison?" And it's like all of the students and the teacher are all like, "No, never heard of her ever." And so it's like he like looks through like the school records or something like that. The teacher tries to stop him, but like he keeps looking through it, finds Rowan Morrison's name like in the record somewhere, which kind of confirms that she was in this school at some point. And so then he's just like, "You're all liars."
Yeah, he just absolutely calls these kids
Yeah.
liars. And then he goes and opens up. There's an empty desk, which you can tell is Rowan's desk. He opens it up, and there's these horrid little children have nailed like a nail into the desk, and then they've attached a beetle to a string, and the beetle's just going around and around in a circle.
Yeah.
And the kids are all like laughing at him because I guess he's the beetle. We know at the end this whole thing has been a ruse, and as how he kind of goes further down the spiral, down the rabbit hole, and he's going closer to his doom. And how he's free to leave this entire movie. They want him to leave. They kind of I mean, they do want to sacrifice him, so I guess they don't. And
I
they
mean,
mention
yeah.
his plane, so it's a little bit like, can he leave? But I think the idea is meant to be, if he were just to kind of stop putting his nose where it doesn't belong, he could be safe.
I mean, well, yeah, because it's like the easiest way he could have survived the whole thing would be if he just didn't go, but like, obviously he wasn't gonna do that.
Yeah, they give him outs, and I think the outs. If this came out today, there's all those YouTube videos that are like how to survive the Wicker Man, and I think that it would be kind of all of the things that they give him to survive, which is not being a virgin. I think it's something like he has to be a willing participant. So if he left, if he kind of, I don't know, if he just stopped kind of investigating and just went back to the mainland, all of these things are along the lines of, is he able to put his own faith to the side and kind of say, well, clearly I have to investigate this murder potentially, but I can't just see these people as heathens. I can't. Because he investigates it. I think this becomes very personal for Howie. He starts off, this is just any kind of routine investigation, but by the end, he's more upset about this, pagan practice than he is about the girl. I think he even says to Lord Summerisle, I'm going to come here with reinforcements, and we're going to investigate this debauchery that is happening here. He's not worried about the girl. He's worried about the fact that they're kind of there's this overt sexual expression, and
Okay. Well, you know what? Actually, now that you mentioned that, I suppose that's kind of one pretty huge thematic change then. Between this version and the remake, because I haven't seen the remake, I've just seen a review of it, but I also saw like an article kind of looking at the differences between the two. And it's like in the remake, the police officer who's played by Nick Cage in the remake, the girl that goes missing is actually his daughter. So it's like he has a much more personal stake to it, like right from the get-go.
Yeah, but I think from what I've heard in that remake, they take out the entire religious aspect to it. Really, I don't think that Nick Cage is particularly conservative. And I don't think the people on the island, they're not even really pagans. They're kind of in this. From what I've heard, they kind of have this weird, made-up matriarchal society or something. I don't know. Maybe we have to look at that.
I think like the main change was like so it's like in the original, it's all like set in an island that's like off the coast of Scotland or something like that. Whereas the remake has it that it's like it's like an island off the coast somewhere in America, and obviously because like paganism was never really a huge thing in America as much as it was in like the British Isles and that. They were like, well, we can't really use paganism, so they decided to have it kind of more reminiscent to like the Salem witch trials. And so this island is like a society of like I guess like witch believers or people who like kind of follow that type of belief. I'm not sure whether it's completely made up or if it is based on all of that stuff. But now that I think about it, the Salem witch trials were all about just like, it wasn't really like a cult or anything like that, was it?
Yeah, it was kind of a mass delusion.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose it was almost like cult-like mentality.
Within witches?
Well, I think kind of in the sense that, you have to have some kind of, it's almost like a cult mentality in the sense that they were able to point to some woman and be like,
she's a harlot. Let's burn her at the stake. Like there has to be some progression of everyone ramping each other up to get to that point.
Like within the accusers, not so much the accusees. Is that what you're saying?
Sorry, I lost you there for a second. Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry, I lost it. I've been kind of dropping out for the last couple of seconds, just trying to piece together what you've been saying. But now that I've just made some ridiculous points.
So were you saying that it was like this type of mentality was more within the accusers in the Salem witch trials, not the accusees?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
With the accusers. Yeah, sorry, I was kind of missed your point, I guess.
Yeah, nah, it's all good.
Yeah. But I can't see how that remake gets anywhere near what I like about this. It kind of seems like every take that you could have on the Wicker Man, they kind of went the wrong way.
I mean, maybe like if I actually watched the remake now, I would kind of have a more informed idea on like the differences and all that.
Yeah, I'm interested to watch it. And there's also a semi-sequel to this movie.
Oh, really?
Made by written and directed by the director Robin Hardy. I believe it's called The Wicker Tree. And Christopher Lee is in it, but I think he's not named in the movie. I think he's called like the Old Man or something. But a character very similar to who he's playing in The Wicker Man.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, it seems as though it's like it's all like different characters and all that. It's looking like the leader of this group is this guy called Sir Lachlan something, played by Graham McTavish.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where, or maybe a spiritual sequel where it's
maybe,
you know, if you you could extrapolate that this is in the future for Summerisle, but it's not explicitly said, as far as from what I've heard. But I know he also wanted to make a third, complete the trilogy.
Oh.
And, this is Robin Hardy, tried to get crowdfunding for it. I don't think he got it. I think it just failed. Yeah. From making like one of the classic cult horror films, they're just not being able to fund the third one.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. But actually, just briefly going back to what you were talking about before about people who have lately been making like videos on YouTube on like, here's how you would survive this movie and all of that kind of stuff. It just all reminds me of this thing that I had heard about Shakespearean tragedies, because I know a lot of the time, a lot of Shakespeare tragedies get criticized as being like, oh, if this character had just done this differently, everything would be fine. And it was like the person who was talking about it had mentioned that it's like the point of like a good tragedy is that like there are like several instances where like, yes, the main character could have totally ended up better off if they just made a different decision, but like they've been characterized so well that you would know that they would never make that decision.
Yeah, I think in Shakespearean terms, the character acts from their fatal flaw, right? They've got this personality flaw that, of course they could get a better outcome, but there's just something in them that just prevents them from doing that. And I guess in The Wicker Man, Howie's fatal flaw is that he just sees his values as superior. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like he's very unflinching in
and very critical. Very critical.
Yeah, he's very, very critical about it all. But yeah, like they actually used a comparison that was like, if Hamlet and Othello were to like switch places, So they were put in like different situation, like they were put in each other's situation. Othello probably would have just killed Claudius immediately, which would have been better for everyone then. Meanwhile, Hamlet would have like, he could have possibly like outsmarted Iago, or like found a way to like kind of trip him up, or at the very least he certainly wouldn't have acted as impulsively as Othello would have.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting way of thinking about it.
Yeah, no, I thought
But
that
then
was a pretty interesting take when I'd read it.
those characters, they have their own flaws that who knows what machinations that would have in those situations,
Yeah.
Like,
Shakespeare's What If.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like something a Spark Notes original. It's like something trying to connect to high school kids. And it's like, oh boy.
Yeah. So then, so it's like, Howie has like that conversation with the teacher where, where like we find out about their like difference of beliefs, how they kind of believe more in like reincarnation as opposed to resurrection, and all of that stuff. And then I forget what actually happens to like get Howie to like the next scene, in like the graveyard, I think it was.
Yeah. There's a lot of cuts in this where he's just suddenly on a horse and cart, just going somewhere else on the island. But they're all very pretty shots of cherry blossoms and
Yeah, of course.
beautiful flowers and stuff. But he's in the graveyard, and this is like the last bastion of Christianity on the island. It's all of their Christian graves have just been kind of put in this little cemetery, because the island was Christian before somewhere else. Great grandfather. I mean, the pagan gods, even though they go back so many thousands of years, it's relatively recently that they've been reinvigorated for this purpose of cultivating fruit. So they have these Christian influences, but the graves are just dilapidated, and Howie finds that very offensive.
Yeah, no, I think, it's like there's a bit where it's like he sees like a woman that's just breastfeeding openly in the graveyard,
and she's holding an egg.
Wait, is she?
Yeah, she's holding an egg in one hand and she's breastfeeding in the other. And it's like, I guess the egg is a sign of, fertility and renewal. But that's one in this that I don't really, I have no idea why that is. It's a little bit weird, but
Yeah, but then it's like, isn't it like he finds this one grave and he like, doesn't it like he like makes like his own crucifix cross and like puts it on it or something like that?
Yeah, he breaks some wood and puts a little cross there, and
and it's like the woman sees the whole thing and is just like, what the heck's going on here?
Yeah, well, that's the thing about the woman holding the egg. In retrospect, when we know that this is all the ruse, all of those little things, the same as the kid with the beetle, they can all just kind of be explained as just they're just trying to freak him out.
Yeah,
they're just trying to piss him off just by having like creeps around the island.
Oh yeah, there's like one point like later on in the movie where I'm just like, what were you doing there?
He's trying to get in his head.
Yeah.
But he makes a little crucifix and he has a look on his face of like, how good am I? He looks very proud of what he's done. But before he makes that crucifix, I think there's an important shot where on this grave are these baskets of apples. And this is a storyline we haven't kind of touched on, is that when he gets to the island, obviously the island renowned for their fruit, he goes to the pub and he wants to get a meal, and he gets these horrible looking blue kidney beans from a can. And the meal just looks disgusting. Like it looks like what you'd probably get in a pub in England. It's probably not that out of line with that. But and then he asks for dessert, and they give him peaches in a can. He's like, hang on, I've heard so much about your fruit. I want an apple. I think he actually asked for an apple for dessert.
Yeah, I
And,
think he does.
They don't really explain it to him, but they just say kind of, well, this we've exported all the fruit, I think they say, and we're eating this horrible off food from cans. And he also sees that for every year at the May Day harvest, there are these photos of a girl surrounded by these bountiful buckets, wicken baskets of fruit. And there is no picture from 1972. It's broken. So that's kind of part of it. And so when he goes to this grave, we see there's fruit in these baskets kind of been left as an offering, I guess. But they're just rotted and there's not much of it. So he's starting to get the sense that maybe things aren't so good as far as the harvest goes on Summer Isle.
Yeah, and then so then I think there he finds a gravestone that is meant for Rowan Morrison, the alleged missing girl. And then it's like, is it then that he digs it up, or is that like later on?
No. I guess this is the scene in between those two things. Is he has to go to Lord Summerisle. For permission, because Lord Summerisle is a justice of the peace on the island, and so it's quite a funny scene of him having to go to Lord Summerisle, and he's disgusted by everything he's saying, but he's like, can I dig up the grave?
Yeah. It's like he has to go through a bunch of people. It's just like, you need permission from Lord Summerisle to do that. And it's like, yes, I'm asking for permission right now. And it's like,
Yeah. He goes before that. I think he goes to. I don't know. I don't even know where he is. He's trying to get some records on Rowan Morrison, and there's a woman that says, you need to talk to Lord Summerisle, and she pulls out a can of gross-looking peaches and cream or something and starts eating it. So, by this point, we're like, hang on, I haven't seen a fruit this entire time. And then he also goes back to the post office where the lady is making a little girl eat a live frog.
Yes, as like some form of medicine.
Yeah, well, she's like, you had a sore throat, but put this in your mouth for a few seconds. The frog's got your sore throat. Clearly, can't you hear it's croaking? Like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's like Howie's there the whole time, and he's just like,
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so I reckon this will be a good point to stop part 1 of this episode. Just because been talking for a bit, and I don't know, I kind of prefer to keep the videos like a little bit short. I know that I have kind of broken that rule a few times, but regardless, we shall. Yeah, Matt and I shall see you guys next time for part 2.
Part 2. We haven't recorded it yet. Who knows what
totally haven't recorded it yet. But I guess you'll have to find out next time. Until then, have a good one, guys.
Yeah, have a good one.